Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you, and let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up the screen. Ah, yes, Ilus, mighty Ilus. We're going to talk about everything that's going on with it. Well, a lot of it. It's almost impossible to go over everything that's going on with Ilus. I'd have to have about 2 hours. But there's a big week ahead. We're going to talk about outstanding shares, what's up with that, any dilution. We got a huge pre-order to talk about. We're also going to talk about bullhead. You name it, we're going to get into it. All right, but first, I've been gone for about a week. I was on a golf trip. I do that from time to time. And I went down to Florida with my two brothers.
This is my brother Daryl. That's my other brother Daryl.
That's right, my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl. Well, it's actually Chilmont and Junebug. That's what I call them. They have real names, but that's what I call them. So I did try to keep track of Ilus. I didn't do a great job of it, but I kept track of it some. But that's where I've been. But anyway, I did want to get back to covering Ilus. And we need to talk about what's going on in the market too, and in politics. Good grief. We do have one positive thing, however. A lot of negative out there as far as macro issues, but we got one big positive, and that's the Rona. As you can see, the cases are continue to crash, and this is the one falling knife we don't mind. It's down to a 7-day average of 100,000. As you can see, it's falling off a mountain here, and it continues to go down, and I'd love to see that going down to, well, we'll never get zero, I don't think, but if we could get down to 20,000 instead of 100,000 cases a day, that'd be great, 25, something like that. We get back to some sort of a normal. But this is a huge macro issue that's really positive for the entire world, and especially the United States, because we're getting way down to the bottom. Now let's talk about the negative. The negative that's going on right now, everybody's talking about, is Russia and Ukraine, and will Putin invade and all this sort of stuff, and everybody's talking about it. I told you last week that I thought that he would. No guarantee, of course. I mean, we don't know what's in this man's head, but when you look at these pictures, does this look like a guy you can negotiate with right here? I don't think so. He's going to do as he pleases, and with that level of ego, he's going to do what he wants. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it happens pretty soon, but we'll see. So that's a negative, but we do have the positive that Rona is going away. Then we've got the two other big negatives, which is huge inflation, and when they said 4%, that was a joke. 6%, 7.5%. It's 12 to 15, and I can go out and see what the prices are, and it's not 7%. Interest rates will be going up in March, it appears, probably a 0.5 point starting out, and there's going to be multiple increases, and that's not good for the stock market. It's certainly not good for small stocks and penny stocks. So we do have these negatives that we're dealing with, and one positive. Now, as far as Ilus, we got this quite an interesting thing here. We know they have acquired Vera drones, and that's a pretty cool concept. You can see that Ilus is really at the forefront of technology when it comes to fire and safety. And of course, we covered the metaverse they're working on as well, which will be great for classes. But here they're talking about a pre-order, and they're in discussions for 100 of these Vera M500s unmanned aerial vehicles. And this would be a $60 million sale if this occurs, with a pre-order deposit of $6 million and delivery in the fourth quarter of 2023 next year of these vehicles. And the Vera drones, you can see how useful they'd be to carry large amounts of not only equipment, but you can even imagine them getting people off of the top of a burning building or helping get that equipment up there to them. So this could be a really useful item, and you wouldn't have to worry about somebody operating this and being in danger. You'd be able to do this from a safe environment, similar to what they did with the Mongoose, how they've been able to keep their people safe from some of these difficult situations. Also on Twitter, this is pretty darn big news right here. Less than 2/3 of the way through Q1, and Bullhead Products, if you remember, Bullhead Products are the aluminum trucks where they take trucks and they convert them into to be able to fight brush fires and different types of vehicles. And they acquired them last year. And it says less than 2/3 of the way through Q1, and Bullhead Products is up over 200% on its end of Q1 2021 figures. Another 15 new orders to be completed and 20 in the pipeline, including a 120 vehicle opportunity. So when you hear the bears talk about, well, what are they really doing? They're just buying a company and they're just adding it, and that's all. They're not there's no value added. Well, guess what Ilus can do? It can connect a company like Bullhead to all these places that can buy a large amount of these vehicles. And right here is a prime example of that, where it's value added. It's synergy. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We also recently got this letter from Nick Link to the shareholders, and they're responding to repeated questions about T-trades. It turns out that it could be that they're still having trouble with these GPL ventures, which was a toxic note that they had that they have been trying to completely eliminate. And it said approximately 70 million shares have been sold under T-trades. If these T-trades were coming from a single holder, they think it could very well be GPL. It says, in the process of cleaning up the share structure, we know that GPL's last conversion was 75 million late 2021. It says, we do believe and hope that this was their last remaining conversion. It's already known that GPL is under SEC oversight and they can exit their current positions within certain restriction guidelines. So GPL is still a bit of a problem for them, and they're hoping this is the end of it. And I always like to remind people that he came out on April 5th of last year, and he made it very clear when it comes to all the preferred shares. It says, my holding company holds 390 million common shares, all the preferred A, all the preferred D, and all the preferred E shares. It says, we have not sold a single share and do not have plans to sell any. Rest assured our interests are mutually aligned. So there's been no dilution coming from Nick Link. It doesn't appear. He's talking about GPL. And one of the things I wish they would do is update this OTC markets, because it's still showing outstanding shares of 1.221 billion as of November 24th. It hadn't been updated. But when you go to some websites like Barron's, for example, it'll show shares outstanding of 1.03 billion. So I'm a little bit confused by that. I don't know if this has been updated and OTC is not. And that's not the only place that shows that. So I'm a little bit confused over that, why that hadn't been updated in the OTC markets. I know they've talked about having around 1 billion shares is what they've worked it down to in that neighborhood. I don't know if that includes that GPL or not, but obviously that's playing a role. So obviously I just like to see that updated. And as we look at everything they've asserted that they're looking to do, share reduction, they were saying well under 1 billion shares. They were at 1.22. I think now their goal is to try to get it down to 1 billion, because that GPL has thrown a bit of a monkey wrench on them. And I think them selling those shares obviously played a role in why that stock dropped. And we'll get into that when we look at the chart. But we know the European deal, they're still working on that. They said that had been approved, but has not been formally announced, according to Nick Link and JP Backwell. We know about their possible acquisitions they're working on, 2 9-figure ones, this European deal being one and one in the U.S. They're still looking to uplist to the NASDAQ, is my understanding, with no reverse split. That's according to both the CEO and the directing manager. And it looks like probably 4 to 7 months through probably a spinoff of one of these bigger companies. We know they've been using their preferred and restricted shares, and they said most of those are restricted for 2 years, and they're using those in acquisitions. We know about their water mist technology and the discussions with Tesla, and then this Vera drones. I added that for the pre-orders, which is very interesting. That could be huge. And as we take a look at the stock, as we can see, last time I covered this, this was a little over a week ago, I talked about the fact it may very well drop down to this 11 cents. It did exactly that. And I meant to pick it up here, but like I said, I was playing golf and I missed it.
Oh, you almost had it. You got to be quicker than that.
Yeah, so I missed that. I won't miss it again if it pops down here again. Who knows? It might even do that this week with all this crap going on with Putin. You never know. But we'll see. But that's not a bad place to get it right there. And like I said, I'll be watching. And like I said, if it does, I'll be grabbing it, because I do like this company long-term, big time. I feel real good about it. That's my opinion. Now understand, you know, this is an OTC stock. It's a penny stock. And I practice the 10% rule. I put 10% of my portfolio into OTC penny stocks. I don't put any more than that, because penny stocks are very dangerous and they're risky. Risk versus reward. But I like the volatility. I do like the risk because the reward can be so high. I feel real good about this company. If it winds up uplisting through spinoffs, it could be a great return. I mean, it could be significant. But, you know, time will tell. We'll see. All right, folks, and that's just an update on Ilus. I wanted to go over some of that stuff. Gosh, I didn't get into everything that's going on with Ilus. Like I said, it'd take an hour. But pretty exciting company. It's been very volatile over the last few weeks. Everything in the OTC's been that way. So I'll be watching it closely, and hopefully we have a good week or two coming up and we can start seeing this stock working its way back up. But if it doesn't, I'll see it as a buying opportunity. That's my opinion. It's your money. You do what you want. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover Ilus. And if you haven't subscribed, what you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Anyway, I hope you did like the content. And we'll see you next time on Mr. Frugal Investor.